go. No matter how much deja vu we've got, Sarah's still rocking the laptop today. Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Branding Banter. Your promo podcast where you get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA.
And I'm Meg Erber, Director of Sales at Proforma, and I'm not sure why I waved at you, but hello.
Hello, Meg. I'm Stephen with ESC. I'm also a CAS member.
I'm Sarah Goshgarian Unruh. I'm National Account Manager at Stalls.
Oh yeah, today, Sarah.
I am in La Rioja, which is in Spain.
Oh, I was going to say your background looks
yes.
I think Jeff said
it's a little
something
different. It's a beautiful view.
We're going to make a new t-shirt. It's not going to be Meg's bedroom Meg. It's going to be where in the world is Sarah?
Are you really stealing my line, Meg? What the hell? Don't be stealing my thunder, okay? There's no
Sarah.
Well, we did a cruise in the Mediterranean. We did a cruise in the Mediterranean before we ended up here, and we saw Calvin Harris in Ibiza.
Whoa.
So, which is pretty cool. And then Medusa. So I feel like I was like total raving, 21-year-old, 1 by 1 inch square, got yelled at for pushing people, which I wasn't pushing, and I was just trying to breathe. So
I saw Calvin Harris and Omnia in Vegas. It was a very interesting experience. Probably not like it would be in Spain. I imagine.
Calvin Harris. He must be like, I've never seen him. I don't think I listen to his music, but like I know he was playing at the same time as the Super Bowl or like right after the Super Bowl in Vegas. I was like, he must pull a real
You
crowd.
have listened to his music. I know you've listened to his music. And he is the highest paid DJ.
Well, damn,
like,
maybe, okay.
Like $350 million, like highest paid DJ. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
I wonder if he has any retail pieces in promo.
I was like standing in the middle of a crowd like this, so I'm like trying to jump every once in a while.
That's crazy. Well, listen, this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Alpha Broder. Alpha Broder is America's leading supplier of wholesale apparel, promotional products, and imprintable goods. Alpha Broder products build brands, champion causes, and acknowledge achievements, and offer limitless solutions. They carry more than 6,500 styles from over 60 brands of classic and trending products like wholesale t-shirts, fleece, drinkware, bags, journals, and more. Alpha Broder is empowering their customers to brand the world through market-leading service, products, and solutions. Be sure to check them out at alphabroder.com. Tell them that Branding Banter sent you. And we've got a fun topic today. We're going to talk a little bit about retail brands and sort of their transition into promo and that collaboration, if you will. We've kind of hinted at this a little bit in the past, on past episodes, but that was more so a little bit of a different take. We've got something else planned for you guys today, and more so about like the brands and how they're coming into the space and amassing of this what seems to be just brands all over the place in the industry nowadays. So, Meg, do you want to kick us off today?
Sure. Since this is my second go at it today with the same topic.
No,
it's a deja vu. So I think what we were trying to get at before is really the influx of retail brands in the promotional product space and how it's really provided more options for end buyers, and not only just more options, but high-end options. And when I think of that, when I think of retail brands in our industry, I think something that has a longer shelf life because it's retail, because people want to wear it, and they're going to get the most out of it. So we're providing long-lasting, high-quality pieces for the end buyers. And we're seeing an influx of requests. I have franchise owners coming to me all day saying, we want more retail brands. We want more retail brands. And then being on the supplier side of it, when are you going to get more retail brands? So I really feel like, I don't know if the consumer, the end user is driving this, but I'm seeing it everywhere. And I know in the past, retail brands were super hesitant to even come into our industry because of the perception of trinkets and trash or low quality items that are in this industry. But I think probably mostly over the last 5 years, we've seen the shift due to COVID, due to supply chains, logistics issues, anything you could possibly think of has gone wrong in the last 5 years. It's probably driven this a little bit more. So I don't know, that's where I think we should start. I think we can probably talk to some successful brands, some trivia, which you guys may or may not already know. So we'll go from there. But Sarah, Sarah, you had a really good article you were talking about from ASI, and it was the secrets behind bringing retail brands to promo. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, it was an ASI article that was published in March of 24. And I think reading the article myself, I was really intrigued because I remember way back in my distributor days, it was hard to get a retail brand. And so Rocketbook was a product that my customers had asked for, and it was nearly impossible. The retail brand really didn't want to put their name on it. And so we were trying to buy direct and then trying to find somebody who could do some type of imprint. And at that point in time, they just wanted us to buy the items for them. So it was nearly impossible. And so to your point, it was really about the facade of trinkets and trash that really our industry carried. And I think COVID really, to me, was a big shift for retail brands. Not that it didn't happen before that. And I think we've had kind of the OGs that have been around for a long time, like your OGO, and you've got Travis, and that, really sold into the promo industry initially. But, COVID, people were at home, so they wanted retail brands, and there was an influx. And then people really started this trend of tying their missions and their brand statements to what retail brand statements are. And then they want to then give those products as, gifts to their clients and customers. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think as being an end buyer, buying something for your company, and you want to look like, a high-end piece, like a Travis Matthews piece at Nike or Under Armour or Adidas, those have a higher perceived value. And that makes you're aligning your company, your brand, and your mission and values and morals all with that brand. It says something. It says, okay, well, you didn't go the cheap way. You have a great facade. I think, I don't know where I was going with that, but I know that when you have a retail brand, you have something that feels good, looks good. It's all about perception. There's reality, and then there's perception. And unfortunately, reality is perception. So I think, what, Steven?
It's the other way around. Perception is reality.
Is it though?
And I call it Travis instead of Tervis, but whatever,
We're
nobody, that's okay.
When in Rome,
but it's okay. I'll correct myself.
So do you guys know what the 2023 Counselor's Product of the Year was? Not you, Steven.
But I actually know it. And
we all know it, actually.
I knew it the first time.
What category was it in, Steven?
I think it was drinkware.
It was drinkware.
Oh, it was drinkware. You're right.
All right. So it was
40
the Stanley.
Yes. This big cup.
So I think, Jeff, you made a point earlier, and it made me think of Stanley, but it's like once you, let's say you have, everyone went out and had it was like the Stanley craze, right? And then a couple people on TikTok started talking about the lead that could possibly be in them. And then that erupted. That went viral. So that actually affected Stanley's sales, especially in the promotional industry. So I think,
did it?
Yeah. And then people were then looking for comps. Like you see a lot, or dupes, you see people like Logomark with a Pelican. You have HIT has their dupes. I think every drinkware supplier has a dupe to Stanley, and those sales are doing a little bit better right now. But I think it comes down to making sure that you align yourself with a tried and true brand, one that doesn't have any issues of aligning themselves with specific things that may not be tasteful, Jeff, you had brought on to that. What are some of the other challenges that you would see in bringing some of the retail brands to this industry? Pause.
Hey, before you get into that, this reminds me of actually. What? You guys remember Patagonia, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
they were in our industry. They said that they wanted to not allow branding on our pieces, and then they came back into the industry. So I think it does show like there's an ebb and flow in value proposition of the promo industry. So, obviously they saw the value initially, then they didn't feel like there was value, and then they saw there was value again. So I don't know, it's a kind of a neat testimonial of our space and the value that it brings. So yeah.
I think there was a go, Jeff.
When we originally talked about retail brands coming into promo, I think it was from the Oregaudio conversation that we had with either Jason Lukash or Mike, and essentially talking about how, obviously they started and their big thing was they were going to go into retail, and they went on the Shark Tank and they did the whole thing. Then they came into the promo space and were selling so much more in promo, and it was easier sales and repeat sales, and they were cyclical and that sort of thing. So it was, a lot more, I guess, easier, if you will, to get good sales volume. And so, with that being said, I think, like me personally, when I was walking the trade show floor at PPAI this year, I saw a ton of suppliers or manufacturers that would typically sell into the retail space that are now, exhibiting for the first time at PPAI, trying to get into the promo space. Because Sarah, like you alluded to in that article, or like you discussed that the article alludes to, essentially, there's so much more volume that you can get out of your product in the promo space and easier access to buyers than the hard grind of selling retail maybe. And so I'm just interested in your guys' opinion, Meg, like you had asked with the changes, or challenges. What else are we seeing? Like, why would somebody not be able to come into the promo space, or what would they need to consider coming into the promo space?
Well, I think one of the biggest factors, just because I experienced it specifically at my days at S&S with Adidas, right? It's a very big retail brand. The problem is with these retail brands, they always want to have their branding left chest, the prominent area. So you're competing with retail for that inventory. And it's so hard. You get a piece in and it's like, okay, just blow it out. Well, in this industry, you have to have it for a minimum of 2 years. 1 year to gain traction, another year for programs. And in retail, they're replenishing that every couple of months. So with that being said, I know what Adidas did is they actually redesigned the product specifically for this industry. So they would take the pieces of retail. I'm sorry?
Show us, Stephen. There we go.
So for example, Adidas took all their branding off the left chest, and they would put it on the yoke, on the sleeve, on the hem. So not to compete with the branding of the end buyer. And again, this isn't just something that everybody is doing, but we're seeing some other brands go about it. And another thing is, being in the Adidas world, my world revolved around Adidas, Under Armour, Nike, and there's some sleepers coming up and about. So when I was talking with Samar a couple weeks ago, their number one up and coming brand was blowing everybody out of the water, and it was Travis Matthews. So it's like, it's something that you don't necessarily think of because you're like, oh, Nike is, the brand, or Adidas or Under Armour. But then you have all these other retail brands that are making their way in through the golf, through the sporting, through the corporate merchandising, So I don't know. I think so so decoration, inventory management. We talked about shelf life with Patagonia. So I think immediately, as soon as you put a logo on something, it reduces the shelf life. But when you have a higher end piece or a retail piece, that tends to stick around a little bit longer because it is so expensive. People aren't just going to toss it. I know that for me, when I left at S&S, I had a closet full and drawers full of apparel that I had to get rid of. They don't work there anymore, and it was really sad. But prior to that, I'd actually purged my closet. I do it like once or twice a year. And I filled up all these trash bags full of clothes, and I held on to them because I have emotional attachment syndrome. There were so many memories attached to those shirts that I was like, oh, I'm going to get them one day. And then I saw them in the back of VJ's Jeep one day, and I was like, oh, I need to get those out. And then literally he took them to Goodwill. So right after I purged my drawers, I have nothing left now. I have no T-shirt. I have a couple T-shirts, but like everything's gone. So yeah. That's about shelf life and logos and all that good stuff, but the retail stuff I've kept. I think it's really nice, and I want to keep wearing it. So this is my little Meg X talk.
Yeah, so that's one of those things with retail as well, is once you put your logo on that brand, if that brand does something in the world, and look, today we're living very politicized and polarizing, sort of environment. And if a particular brand that you put your logo on does something wild and crazy, you're now associated with that stuff as well. So it's something to consider also. Me personally, I think one of the biggest challenges for retail is the timelines and turn time that we have in our industry. I don't think retail brands are necessarily prepared to come into our space and turn product the way that our industry is used to. And Meg, like you'd said, you're competing, at least for the apparel side of things, you're competing with retail on that inventory. And of course, retail is going to win out most of the time, I would imagine. And so, the simple fact of the matter is, you go to like Magic, the Men's Apparel Guild in California, that show, I think it's in like March or something like that. And when you go to that show, you're buying stuff for your winter season. You're 6, 7, 8 months out. You go into a Walmart or something like that these days. In September, there's Christmas stuff in the shelves already. So our industry is like, how fast can I get it? It's a microwave society. You need it yesterday. So I think that's the biggest challenge for retail spaces, or retail brands coming into our space. Sarah, Steve, you got anything to add?
I'm going to add to your challenge and just say that I think one of the other things, it's the depth of the product offerings that come from the retail brands, because what customers are asking for is what's trending. And a lot of times we may not have access to those products yet. So if Yeti's going to come out with a new Rambler, for example, we may not have access to that particular style from the promo side yet. And so yes, we have access to Yeti, but we may not have access to all of the styles. So I think that becomes a big deterrent as well.
That's actually really interesting that you say that, because Meg, you had mentioned that some of the retail brands are actually coming out with a whole different line for our industry. That's not what they retail.
Yep,
so
exactly.
That's
to eliminate the having to compete over inventory mostly, right? And then to make a piece that's more friendly to our industry. There we are. Yeah.
Stephen, what about you?
I would just add, I guess, 2 pieces. I could go on and on about the pros in promotional space, but looking at the cons, alluded to what Sarah was talking about, brand control. They don't have quite the control over what's on their pieces in conjunction with theirs. And I know we've talked about this before. Specific brands used to have a lot of restrictions on what kind of logos they would and would not partner with, as well as what color combinations they would allow. There's lots of things, and that kind of goes with what Sarah was talking about, where some of the pieces in promo are just different color offerings. The other one would be the availability to actual buyers. I'm not about to argue the merits of competition, because it's super uber competitive on both sides, just to get your pieces into big box retail versus into, a buyer's hand. But once they're in big box or in big retail locations, you've got captive audiences with much higher frequency of purchases. Whereas in promo, you're dealing with less people that order more pieces. So it's just a different dynamic. But hey, I just saw we ran out of time, but I do have a trivia.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
So I found rough estimates said that there are over 500 brands in promo. Okay. I took 5 suppliers, and those 5 suppliers, Alpha, shout out, PCNA, Hirsch, SNS, and HIT. If you had to guess, how many retail brands do those 5 people have?
320.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I knew I was trying to be last.
Meg, what do you think?
I think 400.
Okay, I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to say 352.
362.
Oh, look at that. I even got the thumbs up.
Right.
Not bad.
So, and then looking at 10 suppliers, so those same 5 plus 5 more, because that's how numbers work, was 519 retail brands. Wow. And that was Alpha, shout out, PCNA, Samar, SNS, HIT, Gemline, Hirsch, Starline, Logo March, and HPG. 519 plus retail brands in promotional. That's a ton. Yeah. So well over 500 brands, retail brands, are in our industry now.
Well, speaking of those good goods over at Alpha Broder, did you know that they're America's leading supplier of wholesale apparel, promotional products, and imprintable goods? Alpha Broder
Yeah.
products build brands, champion causes, and acknowledge achievements, and they offer limitless solutions. They carry more than 6,500 styles from over, I believe it's actually 91, if Steven's math is correct.
It's
brands.
probably not. I did recount. I have 83 plus.
All right, well,
brands
I'm going to go with what Alpha Broder provides.
Over 60.
Over 60.
Over 60.
I mean, it could be 80, could be 90. I don't know. But look, they've got classic and trending products like wholesale T-shirts, fleece, drinkware bags, journals, and more. Alpha Broder is empowering their customers to brand the world through market-leading service, products, and solutions. So be sure to check them out at alphabroder.com. Tell them that Branding Banter sent you. And until next time, guys, we'll be seeing you.